things are kind of slowing down a little bit here in the Canadian news cycle. We only have a few kind of insane topics to cover today, which is a little bit less than the many insane topics that we've covered per video this week. We have a truck that has flown off a bridge here in Canada, and it seems like that truck driver has died. Then you have a man who was just about to be deported, and then a very fine detail saved him, so he's not getting deported here in Canada. You also have some crazy stuff that's coming out of America, and then we have more to talk about. More information has surfaced about that attempted kidnapping that happened in the Vaughan Mills Mall parking lot just the other day. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage everyone to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. And without further ado, let's get into it. So we're taking a look at the polls to start off. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party are still sitting at 209 projected seats, bottom line 178, top end at 233, and Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are sitting at 75 projected seats, 99% likely across the board for the Conservatives and for a majority government. So the polls are looking quite favorable still right there. Mainstream media actually acknowledges that, which is a very important detail because Justin Trudeau has just set off for the Liberal cabinet retreat out in Halifax. And that's normally where they do a lot of cabinet shuffling. They did it this time last year. Chances are they're going to do it again right now. And it's not really going to do much because they are so far behind. Liberals are so far behind in the polls. But nonetheless, we're going to take a look at all of these stories and much more in this video. Starting off with a little bit of international news. Breaking: British boy who waved an English flag outside of an Islamic center has been jailed. UK is falling. No doubt. That's absolutely insane. Then you have, apparently America is considering or is calling the fact that burning an American flag is patriotic. At least that's what they're calling it on CNN, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, I'm not surprised that that's what CNN is saying.
Make America a better place.
Can I ask you a question? Because there was American flag burnings outside the DNC. And I mean, there has been a lot of commentary.
And people have the right to burn flags.
And they absolutely do. But it's not, let's be real, it's not patriotic.
It is absolutely patriotic to burn a flag. It is absolutely patriotic.
I will never burn a flag.
Part of being an American means respecting the right of people to disagree with America.
But it also means respecting
that seems just totally batshit crazy. I don't know if I thought burning a flag might have been illegal or something. Maybe not jail time, but maybe a fine. Like, it just seems wild. It sounds like burning money. Like, you're not allowed to do that. So I don't know why people are burning flags. Also, go fuck yourself if you're living in a country, especially if you've immigrated there and you're burning that country's flag. It doesn't make any sense at all. But hey, that's the state of the Democrats in America. In other news, you have Donald Trump, who's making fun of Kamala. Let's take a look at this.
And she mentioned thank you about 50 times. Did you see the beginning? Thank you, 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 thank you. I said, what the hell is wrong with her? But then she recovered. She did much better. But she didn't tell anything. She didn't say anything.
I really hope that Trump wins for many reasons. Not only would that strengthen the Make America Great Again, Make Canada Great Again movement, because our politics, our news, our economy is so closely tied at the hip to what's happening in America. But the lineup that Trump has, J.D. Vance, super pro Bitcoin, super pro American, as well as Elon Musk being on a board of something. And then you have RFK Jr. also being on a board of something within the Trump administration, which is insane. I mean, you're going to see just super pro-American wave. And then how that would reflect here in Canada is you might have Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives get a little bit more confidence to be even more kind of right-leaning conservatives, because even though Pierre is a conservative Party has, you know, somewhat conservative policies, I think there's a pretty valid argument to be made that we need a little bit more of a oomph and less progressiveness, which is what Pierre and the Conservative Party have. And that's not me shitting on them. That's just a fact. Like, we need to do something about immigration, and we need, you know, the leader to be like, hey, yeah, no, let's pause immigration, or, you know, heavily 90% reduce it, because there's a massive loophole in the system. and time will tell if he actually does that or not. But if America has that insane lineup, it might give Pierre and the Conservative Party a little bit more of that confidence. So it might be more socially acceptable for them to do that. But let's know your thoughts on that. Then you have this video here coming out of, it seems like, Germany, where you just have people waving like terrorist flags. Islamist groups hold provocative demonstration in front of a cathedral. Kind of crazy that this is happening around the world, but it just seems like there is a bit of a takeover, and that's something that does need to be addressed, especially by major politicians, especially here in Canada. Now let's head over to Canadian stuff and see what's going on. So you got Jagmeet Singh, who's the cockroach of Canadian politicians, who says the Conservative leader isn't just silent. He's a working class wannabe who's backstabbed nearly 10,000 workers fighting for safe working conditions. And of course, you have Jagmeet, who's screenshotting a photo of the National Post saying the NDP slams Liberals as cowardly anti-worker while Conservatives remain silent on railway conflict. And it's so bizarre that these people here in this photo are even supporting Jagmeet. Like, his policies are whatever the Conservatives pick, Jagmeet is on the opposite end, no matter what it is. Whatever the Liberals pick, Jagmeet is also on the opposite of that. Jagmeet has positioned himself to be the third end, the third point in Canadian politics, where he's even more progressive and even more radically left-leaning than what Justin Trudeau is. And they kind of fight to see who can be more radical. It's just so bizarre. He's such a weird person. The fact that anyone supports the federal NDP at all, it's just sad. Like, how do they say that in the South? Bless your heart. Now, anyways, we're going to have to wait and see how things work out for Jagmeet, because there is no chance of him winning at all, which at least in America, RFK Jr. had the awareness to go, yeah, I'm not going to win. I'm, against the Democrats. I'm not exactly for Trump, but he dropped that. He dropped his ego and he said, you know what? I'm going to team up with Trump, because that way we can actually make an impact, be less divisive in that country, and unite people. And not that Jagmeet would ever do that, but he's kind of already done that with Justin Trudeau, but not really. He's in that coalition, but not really. He's against it socially, but backdoors, he's got a little bit of Justin Trudeau on his lips. It's very, very bizarre. Anyways, moving past that, you have CTV reporting 5 years later, fewer travelers are visiting Canada than pre-pandemic levels, which is kind of crazy. And you got a chart here that shows in 2019, you had an insane amount of people that were traveling to Canada from other countries and America. 2020, 2021, for reasons that we all know, they did stop. 2022, 2023, and then 2024. And it shows total travelers visiting Canada per month. It seems like we've hit a bit of a peak, and it's going to be coming down, or it actually is below 2019 levels. I wonder why people from Canada are visiting Canada little by little, less and less. It's kind of crazy. It's almost like we're a country that isn't worth visiting or even moving to, unless, of course, you find yourself in this guy's position. So this is a very interesting post for a couple of reasons. One, the fact that this got pulled off, but two, the fact that some details were just kind of not really brought to the front page right away. So CP24 says, we have won. Kenyan man granted temporary residency day before deportation order. And on the surface, you're thinking, crazy timing. And then you look at the article, we have won. Crazy timing. Now, it takes a little bit of research, not a whole lot, but right here in the article to figure out that he is in fact bisexual, and Kenya criminalized same-sex relationships. And then a different article that has, posted at a different time shows bisexual man in GTA facing deportation in 4 days makes desperate plea to Canada. And a different headline, bisexual man in GTA, blah, 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 blah. So kind of weird that they left that part out in the we won the deportation order and I get to stay in Canada article. Very, very bizarre. But for those that aren't aware, you can seek asylum here in Canada if you're in the bracket umbrella of LGBTQSLI+. And in fact, there have been Indian immigration, not ministers, but Indian immigration people that, try to get Indians to immigrate to Canada that do same-sex marriage for the sole reason of allowing that loophole system to either seek asylum or to immigrate here under that umbrella of LGBTQSLI+ individuals. Canada is just so progressive that there's a tremendous amount of loopholes. And then we're faced with this. Look, I don't know the guy. I have no idea if he's a good citizen, if he's a bad citizen, none. But, kind of crazy that on the last day of before the deportation order gets into place, he gets to, stay here. Very, very crazy timing. But let's take a look at the video here.
A man who fled to Canada to escape what he says were threats to his life over his sexuality is facing deportation. Today, supporters rallied around him in an effort to stop his deportation just 4 days from now. CTV's Beth McDonnell has the story.
My mind is confused because I don't know what can happen to me tomorrow. Yeah.
With a petition signed by 2,000 people and a protest alongside supporters outside the local MP's office, Charles Mwangi made a desperate attempt to reverse the deportation order, sending him back to Kenya on Sunday.
It's something the government need to consider all. It's here we are talking about life and death. Yeah. This is my life.
The 48-year-old father of 3 is bisexual. He claimed asylum in 2019 and worked on the front lines of the pandemic as a PSW, cook and cleaner, making the Jane and Finch Black Creek neighborhood his home. Mwangi fears persecution by his local Kenyan community if he returns.
We all believe Canada is a safe haven for LGBTQ people. Yeah. But when you come here, things turn opposite. Yeah. Because I don't know how I can explain my sexuality to anybody.
Mwangi's housemate, Reverend Susan Karanja, says over the years she has watched him work hard to support his family in Kenya and can't accept to see him leave.
Look, it makes sense. It can be a heartwarming story if it's true. And I'm not here to say that it isn't true. I'm not here to say that it is true. I'm just saying that there's been proven loopholes in the system where people, not necessarily this individual, have abused it. And it's something that does need to be addressed. But if everything checks out and he is indeed a good citizen and is indeed bisexual, then yeah, congrats. You have won the game that you're, or not the game. You have won in life by staying here in Canada instead of going back to your, where you were born and going to jail or potentially even facing murder or however they deal with that. But it is something that does need to be addressed because it is definitely being abused. Not saying this individual is abusing it, but also pointing out the fact that there are people on TikTok that literally show how to abuse the system here in Canada. And it's not just 1 or 2 people that have done it. It's thousands, soon to probably be hundreds of thousands. But moving on to a little bit more serious news, you have this video here where a woman was in broad daylight. There was an attempted kidnapping in a Vaughan Mills shopping mall. All right, so let's break this down because you have the news that is now covering it and they get into details. So let's take a look at this.
24/7, I'm Faiza Amin. Our top story this afternoon, an attempted abduction caught on camera in the parking lot of Vaughan Mills shopping mall today. And we have exclusive video of the incident showing a woman attempting to fight off the suspects. This dramatic footage sent to us by a City News viewer. You can see 4 suspects dressed in all black appearing to try and pry a woman away from a car. It happened today just after noon. Initially, York police classified this as an attempted carjacking, but have since told us the suspects were trying to abduct the woman. City News has spoken with witnesses in the area who saw the entire situation unfolding.
I see a Honda Civic zoom past me, and then I hear a girl screaming behind me. I turn around, there's 4 guys. 2 of them had a gun. They start grabbing the girl. She's screaming on the top of her lungs. As soon as I see the gun, I step away from the scene, call the cops, and then the car drives off with her in the car, and then, yeah, that's all I saw.
Just terrifying. York Regional Police are now on the hunt for those 4 suspects. Officers tell us they fled the scene in that blue Honda Civic, which we have since learned is a stolen vehicle taken in Toronto on Wednesday. Police believe this was a targeted incident, but haven't told us anything further. Our Melissa Nakovely is looking into the story and will bring you the very latest on City News at 5. And
so I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Morally, right? That person that filmed it, should they have got involved, maybe ram that car into people? I know that's a crime, but what do you do in that instance where you're seeing a kidnapping not just happen, but in broad daylight? Is taking out your phone the best solution, calling the police, or is it time for citizens to actually get involved? Not in terms of vigilante, but I mean, come on, there's a kidnapping. What do you do? I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And then in other news, you have a RCMP officer gets 4 months in jail for punching a homeless man 19 times. Let me know if you guys think that that is the appropriate punishment for that crime. And then also in other news, 2 women found dead in a Etobicoke house, male relative wanted for murder. Kind of crazy. It just seems like crime is on the rise across the entire country. And then you have videos like this that come out, and it's absolutely insane. So this is shared by Brian Lee, who works for the Toronto Sun. Watch as Toronto Deputy Mayor and Spadina Fort York Councillor calls for a path to regularize all undocumented immigrants or migrants. This is a call for citizenship for illegal immigrants, including people who are ordered to be deported. Very, very crazy.
As we continue to see anti-immigrant rhetoric on the rise in Canada and around the world, we amplify calls from community leaders and advocates for an immediate, broad, and inclusive regularization program that provides pathways to permanent resident status for all undocumented residents. Together, we will continue to dismantle systems of colonialism and anti-Black racism, and we reflect on the enhanced vulnerability that racialized communities with precarious immigration status experience. Undocumented Residents Day is an opportunity to acknowledge with gratitude the important work taking place to ensure all Torontonians, regardless of their immigration status, can feel safe and are treated with dignity and respect in Toronto.
All right. So apparently it's very racist to mention the fact that there is an overwhelming, statistically evidence-backed data of immigrants that are entering Canada, but also other countries. I don't understand the perspective of it's racist to say that. If this happened in other countries where there's an overwhelming amount of Canadians, like 1 million or close to 1 million Canadians all at once per year going to, let's say, India, I think India would say, whoa, that's a lot of people all at once from a very specific country. And that's what we're doing here. And so the idea that people are just going to stop talking about the fact that there's an overwhelming amount of immigration, statistically backed data, is insane under the guise of it's racist to say that. It's just not. In fact, it's racist to call that racist because you're trying to play the race card. But I'd love to know down in the comments what you guys think. And now a little bit of horrific news here, or horrifying news. A semi-truck crashed off the R.W. Brunn Bridge near Sicamous, BC, plunging into the lake. Video footage from the scene shows that a section of the bridge railing has been destroyed. Emergency crews are currently in the water searching for the truck driver. So it seems like, unless there's been new information that has surfaced since recording this video, it seems like that truck driver is gone. Let's take a look at the scene of the crime here, the scene of the incident.
भाई सिक्कामूस वाला पुल टप गया ना इतों भाई ट्रक डै पिया विच इत्थे साला किन्ना डूंगा है, ਉਹ ट्रेलर दींदा आ ना मुंडा बाहर आया भाई ना पता लगदा कुछ इत्थे.
Oh my god.
ब्रिज era टप के भाई उत्थे आ खड़े पुलिस आ जानी मेरे ख्याल नाल हो जाना बंद भाई थोड़े टाइम ते पर नहीं ਵੀਰੇ ਲੱਭਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੰਦਾ.
Yeah, I didn't understand anything, but the railing is gone. That looks absolutely horrible. And I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what comes out of that. Maybe there's an investigation that gets done. But yeah, stay tuned for updates on that situation. Next up, you have storm clouds are still heavy around Liberals as cabinet meets for retreat in Halifax. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will kick off a 3-day cabinet retreat in Halifax on Sunday, where the themes are fairness and Canada-U.S. relations, but the feeling are all about deja vu. A year ago in Charlottetown, the cabinet went on its annual post-summer retreat, and the massive cabinet shuffle that proceeded it would give new life to the Liberal government. Spoiler alert, they did not. Trudeau and his team are far behind the Conservatives in the polls that if they were on a running track, they'd have been lapped by now. And with the election at just about a year away, the runway to recover is growing shorter by the day. So it's going to be a very, very interesting to see what comes out of this cabinet retreat, if really anything at all. Like, who do you think they're going to shuffle in? Is Freeland going to be in her position? Is she going to get, pushed down the ladder? Trudeau, it doesn't seem like he's really going anywhere. He's made that very clear that he plans on going the entire distance until the next election. And he actually thinks somehow that he will be reelected, but also Jagmeet thinks the same thing. And the only one who thinks that has any, data to prove that that's actually possible is Pierre Poilievre. We're going to have to wait and see how this works out. I think personally that there will be a really big cabinet shuffle. I think that a lot of the people that were front runners that you saw answer questions in the House of Commons when Trudeau is there, but Trudeau doesn't take the question himself, right? I think that they're going to be shuffled around to try and, give new branding to the party. But I just don't see how it's going to work. They've gone down this radical spiral that they just can't pull themselves out of. And if they did somehow, rebrand themselves, it would have to go against so many of their talking points and what they stand for, that you just have people jump ship from the Liberal cabinet anyways, because they'd be like, well, you guys have changed so much over this cabinet shuffle, that they would just, run to maybe the NDP, or they would just, wow, okay, that's crazy. That's a drastic change. I wonder why. And then they would switch to a different party, perhaps like the Conservative Party. But I don't see that happening at all. So it just seems like whatever they do isn't going to work. I don't think it's going to work. And if there was like some sort of mathematical calculation to figure out what they could possibly do to make it work, I just don't think that there is an outcome where it's even possible now that we're, a year and a bit away. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And then to kind of conclude what's going on here, we do have a video that is adding more context to this railway lockdown.
Workers are still off the job and holding the line here at headquarters. Meanwhile, CN Rail lifted its lockout Thursday night and workers were set to return to work, but instead issued a 72-hour strike notice warning they will be on the picket lines first thing Monday morning. Now on Thursday, Labour Minister Steve McKinnon ordered the dispute to Canada's Industrial Relations Board to extend the terms of the collective agreement, the current collective agreement, and arbitrate a new one, something both CN Rail and CPKC had been asking the federal government to do. But the union isn't giving in. They're looking at the option of rotating strikes or even suing the Canadian government if Teamsters are forced back to work.
Our legal advisor are looking at our options right now. We believe that the Supreme Court decision regarding our right to strike, it's a constitutional right.
Of course, we're going to have a strategy. Of course, we're going to coordinate with brother and sister unions. Of course, we're going to collaborate. So I can't give you the details, but the reality of there will be a plan in place and they won't like it.
And a 9-hour Industrial Relations Board hearing concluded last night. That included CN Rail, CPKC, as well as the Teamsters Union. At this point, no decision has been issued by the board.
Yeah, and they have, the rail companies have come out and said that they're going on a full strike as of Monday if there hasn't been a resolution. It just feels like there won't be a resolution since the Liberals are literally going on a retreat tomorrow, Justin Trudeau and the government, they're the ones that are responsible for helping to find a resolution. And I just don't think that it's going to happen. So we might actually see something that we haven't really seen in a while since the coup of, a lack of things on the shelves, right? Who knows? So I hope that everyone's preparing either mentally and also physically by, making sure that they have a few weeks, maybe a month worth of food that they can live off of in case in the event of a emergency. But we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out. That's where we're gonna end this video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. And let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns about any of the topics that were covered. And I will see you all tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.